And she said, Dustin, I am so sorry. I don't know what to tell you. And I'm like, spit it out. Spit it out. What's going on? And she says, you appraised the wrong house today. And my heart just leapt in my throat. And I thought, oh my gosh.
Originating from deep inside the Rocky Mountains, transported through the power of the internet, and arriving inside your tiny earbuds. It's the Appraiser Coach Podcast.
Minisode.
It was not the first time that this has ever happened to me, but it definitely was up there as being one of the most interesting. I want to pause here and remind you that we are sponsored by ANow Software. Of course, ANow is my connection to the appraisal business, both on the day-to-day and what is going on with my appraisal orders and the business itself. You're going to want to check them out. Go to anow.com/coach. One more time, it's anow.com/coach. Well, folks, it started out what should have been a very normal Thursday afternoon. I was scheduled to do an appraisal in Idaho Falls, and I was scheduled. I'm not going to share the name of the street, but I will tell you the street address number, and that was 1210 Blank Avenue. And I went over there, and I got there and knocked on the door, and nobody was home. I thought, interesting. So I contacted the office and I said, hey, am I supposed to, what's the deal here? And they said, oh yeah, they said, if they're not home, the door will be unlocked. Go ahead and go in and do your thing. Okay, great. Anytime that is the case, I always check the house up against my pre-sketch. Yes, I do pre-sketch when I do have that information from the county. I always double check it. Always take my handy dandy disto and go around the house and make sure that it is correct. But it's a lot easier to correct a bad sketch than it is to start from scratch. As my all-star team knows, I've been talking a little bit about that on the playbook recently. And I pulled it out, and sure enough, the house was very similar to the sketch that I had from the county. So I went ahead and made my way around the outside, checked all of the measurements, got all my pictures, went back to the front door. By the way, I'd already checked to make sure it was unlocked. It certainly was. Great, wonderful. But I left it closed while I did the exterior. And I always knock, folks. I don't care if my office says, hey, it is vacant, there's nobody there. I have learned over 2 decades of doing appraisals that you always knock, and you always knock loudly, and you always knock repeatedly, and you yell when you open the door to let everybody know that you're there. Folks, this is Idaho, right? Yes, people don't wait to call the police in Idaho. And so I make it very clear who I am, what I'm doing in their house. I don't want to have my wife cash in on that life insurance policy. So I knocked on the door repeatedly. I rang the bell repeatedly, even though I already had. I opened the door a crack. I yelled, Appraiser, anybody home? Appraiser coming in the house. I literally say it over and over and over again, folks. I've been surprised too many times. And I could see that this was a lived-in house, and so I'm even a little bit more cautious when it comes to that. If it's a vacant house, I might holler, but that's about it, right? I'm hollering over and over and over again, making sure nobody's at home. Sure enough, they were not. I went ahead and I did my thing. And when I say I did my thing, I did the whole kit and caboodle. I did the whole inspection. This was an FHA. I even went in the attic. What was interesting about this house was, well, not interesting, but slightly unusual. Usually people clean up a little bit for the appraiser. Not always, but most of the time they do. This place was trashed, right? And, oh, well, whatever. I'll step over clothes. I'll do what I need to do. I got pictures everywhere. I went into the upstairs, the second story, and there was an entire bathroom torn out. Literally the only thing that left. And when I say torn out, I'm talking walls and floor. I could see the second level, or the first level rather, through the floorboards, right? That's how torn out this was. Electrical, plumbing. The only thing left in that bathroom was a commode. Next to that was a bedroom that also was torn out. no walls. Well, very few walls, we'll put it that way. You had to step on the beams in order to get across the floor. I thought, wow, okay, this is an FHA, huh? There might be a few subject to things here that maybe need done, right? I went ahead and finished my inspection. Took me, 25, 30 minutes total. Went out to the car, and on my way from the property, I messaged the office and I said, we are going to need to contact the client on this one. There is significant repairs that are needed, some of them structural in nature, and this is not going to pass FHA. I need to find out how they want us to proceed. About an hour later, I got a message from the office. Dustin, we have a problem. Folks, you will not have much of a problem if you deal with Now software. If you want to know what's going on in your appraisal world, and by that I mean what is going on day to day. Folks, I get a cool email every single morning, and it says something like, Dustin, here's your day. Here's what it looks like for today. I can't remember the title of it, but it's from Now software. It's automatic. Sends me an email and tells me exactly the appointments I have for today, what time they're set for, where they're at, what appraisals are due soon. Not just today, because we don't usually have anything turned in on the due date. That's just a policy in my office. But it tells me what is due soon. It tells me what I'm working on. In a snapshot, folks, I can see what's going on in my appraisal world. I love that about Now software. From any device, your laptop, your desktop, your tablet, your smartphone, you can find out right now what's going on in your appraisal world. Check them out right now. Go to anow.com/coach. Again, it's anow.com/coach for more information. And we have a new sponsor here today. It is Invisibility Appraiser Cloak. That's right, IAC. Boy, check this out, folks. This is a super cool device. People really, really do care, I think, about appraisers and really understand what it is that we need to do our job effectively. I don't know about you, but borrowers, homeowners, they just kind of get in the way of what I need to do. I just need to get in and out. I need to do my job. I don't need somebody looking over my shoulder. I don't need somebody telling me all about the, ceiling fans that they put in each of the rooms recently and all of that jazz. It holds up the appraisal process. I love this new sponsor. They sent me one a couple of weeks ago to try out. I never sponsor anything that I'm not 100% committed to, but this thing is absolutely amazing. I'll tell you, it really could have saved my bacon here recently, as I've been talking about today, and that is being able to slip in and out of a house without being seen. Even while people are home, even while they're sleeping, cooking, playing, whatever you do in your house, you don't have to worry about it because the appraiser will come in and out. You won't even know he or she is there. Simply slip on this invisibility cloak. It's the Invisibility Appraiser Cloak. Just look them up online, IAC, and this thing's Harry Potterish. It is amazing. You absolutely disappear. You can do anything you want. Breaking and entering is not a problem with this. You can do what you need to, when you need to do it. You don't need to worry about scheduling appointments, anything else. This thing is awesome. It is absolutely awesome. Check them out, folks. Don't want to get in the way? Get IAC today. All right, folks, we're having a little fun today, but I'll tell you, it was not fun the other day when I went and found out that I had been in the wrong house. Yep, let's jump straight to the punchline here. I was telling a story before the sponsorship about going into a home. It was 1210 Blank Street in Idaho Falls, and I was told that if they were not home, that they should be home, but if they were not home, they were going to leave the door unlocked for me, which I, greatly appreciate. I've got a busy schedule. It's nice when borrowers are accommodating that way, and I didn't have my invisibility cloak with me, so I thought, even if they aren't home, I'm just going to make sure they know I'm there, because they would be able to see me as I walked around the house, and I yelled around. Nobody was there, knocked on the door several times, rang the bell, what have you. Did my thing. But an hour later, I was told by my assistant that, Dustin, we have a problem. By the way, I hate that term. I hate that phrase. I've told my assistants, we better really have a problem if you say that. Because a lot of times my assistants will say, hey, Dustin, we've got a problem. I'm like, oh, crap. I think of all of these worst case scenarios, right? And then they're like, we got a little bit of a conflict with my son's basketball game next week. And I'm like, geez, really? That's not a problem. That's a minor inconvenience that we can deal with. Don't say, Dustin, we have a problem, unless we have a freaking problem. But this time we had a problem. And she said, Dustin, I am so sorry. I don't know what to tell you. And I'm like, spit it out. Spit it out. What's going on? And she says, you appraised the wrong house today. And my heart just leapt in my throat. And I thought, oh my gosh, it's not the first time that's happened. But I was just like, you've got to be kidding me. What had happened was, in the very beginning of the process, I don't know if this was a lender situation or if it was just, at the office, but somebody transposed a number. I was supposed to go to 1201 blank street, and they sent me to 1210 blank street. Now, you'll remember in my story previous to the break, I had checked the sketch, and I wanted to make sure that I was at the right place because nobody was going to be home. I didn't want to end up with a problem that I have had in the past. It's happened. And I checked, and sure enough, the sketch matched, and I came in with confidence. Absolutely. I mean, the sketch matches, right? Well, the problem was they sketched the wrong damn property. They sketched the property based on 1210 because that's what they thought it was. So it wasn't just transposed on the calendar, and it wasn't just transposed with regard to me, but it was transposed before they even pulled all of the information. The RP number, the tax information, the owners, all of this jazz, right? And it was a purchase. So the owner wouldn't have matched the borrower, so we didn't catch that. I mean, so many dominoes that fell that made this thing a series of unfortunate events. Unfortunate, absolutely, for me, for the homeowner of the house that I went in, for the other people that were sitting around waiting for me. The funny thing about this story is the follow-up to this is when I went back and did the right property, and I'll tell you that, how we resolved this situation. I use resolved very loosely. How do you resolve this? I mean, this is something you cannot undo, but we did our best. When I went and back and did the right property, 1201 across the street, you know what they said to me? They said, yeah, we saw you pull up and we saw you, taking pictures and walking around the outside and walking through that house. I thought it was really weird that you were over there and not here. And then you got in your car and left. What? You didn't freaking how do you not walk out the door and say, hey, are you supposed to be doing an appraisal over here? I mean, seriously, it was just the weirdest thing. I mean, I can see reasons why somebody wouldn't want to do that. Maybe if they thought I was doing something else and they didn't recognize it until I came back. I just think, man, if you're waiting for an appraiser, somebody pulls up in front of your house and walks across the street and does the house across the street. I told this to my wife, what she said to me? She says, well, maybe they thought that you were appraising both houses. I'm like, honey, come on, seriously. You don't walk out the door and say, hey, Mr. Appraiser man, are you supposed to be over here? Man, that would have saved me a lot of heartache. Anywho, this is what I did. Went back to the right house, but before I knocked on the right house, I walked back to the wrong house, knocked on the door, hoping they would be there. Now, some of you are saying, well, Dustin, why did you worry about it? I mean, why didn't you just leave it alone? Well, okay. I mean, honestly, that was kind of my first thought. It's like, they don't know the difference anyway, right? But here's the thing, folks. I'm a professional. So I leave my business card, I leave my pamphlet, I leave a little jar of jam at every inspection, right? Just to say, hey, thanks for your time and for your business. And I had left all of that on the counter. Now, some would say, well, Dustin, why don't you just go in there and get it? I mean, you've already been through the house anyway, right? It just didn't seem right. Just did not seem right. Maybe it is, maybe it's better not to know, right? I don't know, but that's not what I decided to do. I put a note on the back of another business card and I said, please call me. I need to tell you about a mistake that was made. I signed my name and I put my cell phone number on the card. I don't normally give out my cell phone number, but this one I thought, they're going to go inside. And with my luck, they're going to go in the garage and go through the garage door and never even see my card on the front door, right? And they're going to walk through their house and they're going to, 2 hours later be making dinner and look on the counter and like, what is this? And how did this get in our house, right? So I was super worried about it. I left the note on the door, and thankfully, I was actually out on a date with my wife an hour later, and I never get the phone on a date with my wife, right? My focus with my wife is my wife, right? But I told her at the first of the date, I said, hey, babe, here's what happened tonight. If the phone rings and I don't know the number, I am picking it up. And sure enough, an hour later, the phone rang. Let's just say that was an awful awkward conversation. Can you imagine this conversation, right? It was super, super awkward. It starts out, hi, my name is Sam. It was a female. Hi, my name is Sam. I got your card on my door. I'm like, oh, Sam, I'm so glad you called. Listen, this is super embarrassing. There's no other way to say this than to just say it. So I'm just going to say it. And she's like, okay. I was supposed to do an appraisal inspection. I'm an appraiser. Supposed to do an appraisal inspection today on 1201 blank street. The numbers were transposed and they told me to go to 1210 blank street. They told me the door would be open. It was. I went through your home. I walked in every room. I took a picture of every room. I have now deleted them, just so you know. I did look up in your attic. I mean, I did the whole thing. And it wasn't until I left your house and I left my card and my information there on your table that I realized that they had sent me to the wrong house. And I am so, so sorry. Now, let me teach you a principle, okay? The principle of life, right? I've used this with my kids before. If you are afraid about how somebody's going to act or react to a situation, what you can do is try this little gem. Thank them for acting the way that you want them to do before they even do it. Okay, you follow me? So with my kids, for example, I might poke my head out the door, and I know if I call them for dinner, they're just going to keep playing, right? Because it's super fun to be outside, and it's not fun to be inside eating dinner. So this is what I'll do. Kids, it's time to eat, and thank you for coming so fast, right? They haven't even moved yet, right? Now, I'm not saying it works all the time, but I am saying it does work some of the time. So that's what I tried with Sam. I think it worked. I haven't had a lawsuit yet. No policeman has come to my door to arrest me for breaking and entering. But I said, Sam, I am so sorry. I cannot apologize profusely enough. I feel super embarrassed. And I mean, it just happened. But thank you for being so understanding. And you know what? At that point, what choice did she have, right? And she said, well, okay. Yeah, that is super weird. Okay, well, I don't know what else to say. And I said, well, again, I apologize. Thank you for being understanding. It is super weird. I know. I just want you to know. I just want to reemphasize it was a complete mistake. I did delete all of the pictures, so there's no fear there. And all I can do is say, I'm sorry. And thank you for being so understanding once again. And she said, okay. And then we hung up. Now I did go a step further. I did contact my office and I said, I want you to go down to the local store and I want you to pick up a card, a thank you card or a sympathy card or something, a blank card. I don't know, some type of card. And I want you to, write a note to Sam. You already have her address. And I want you to put a gift card in there, a $20 gift card to, Starbucks or whatever. And I want you to send it off and just say, thanks again for being so understanding. We're so sorry about the mix up. Thank you. And go from there. And we did. We sent that, never heard back from her. Hopefully it appeased the situation. But I'll tell you folks, it was super embarrassing. It was super awkward. I know you've had a similar experience. I want to hear about it below. Please take the time to comment on this podcast down below and tell me about your experience, your situation where you might have done the wrong house, inspected the wrong house. I've done it with people at home. In fact, I actually got paid by somebody that was the wrong borrower once. I'll tell you about that someday. I did allude earlier to the All-Star team. Through the All-Star team, I deliver a lot of information about how to handle certain situations like we've talked about today, but more importantly, how to run your business more effectively, more efficiently. An 8-page color newsletter and audio version so you can listen while you do your comp photos every single month, and a private group where you can ask questions, interact with me, interact with other great appraisers across the nation. That is the All-Star team. Please join us. It's $9 a month, folks. Tell you, that is an investment in you and your business. $9 a month, the All-Star team. Go to theappraisercoach.com and you can learn more there.
You've been listening to the Appraiser Coach podcast with Dustin Harris. If you like what you hear, please give us a 5-star rating and post a short review on iTunes. For more in-depth insider information on how you can make more money as a real estate appraiser, visit theappraisercoach.com and sign up for the All-Star team today. Thanks for joining us. And now, get out there and create some value.